Hello, thanks for tuning in today. So, today I want to talk about the Genius Act that was just passed and how it could impact and shape the future when it comes to crypto investing. So, the Genius Act is, well, the definition of it or what it stands for is guiding and establishing national innovation of US Stablecoin Act. So this was just signed by President Trump, and it is a major piece of legislation that will um, address digital assets, cryptocurrencies that are pegged to assets like the US dollar for stable value. So this is another thing that will help crypto as a whole. We already know that since Trump has taken office, he wanted, the US to be the crypto capital of the world. And so steps like this are a big deal. This Genius Act, it sets clear rules around stable coins, making them safer and more trusted, potentially boosting, like I said, the entire crypto market, including those things that I'm invested into, like Bitcoin and XRP. So a few years ago, my investing journey just started with my 401k and came out of my check, automatically invested, and that was that. But in time, over the last few years, I opened up first I opened up an account at M1 and Webull. Those were my first two. I've since closed my account over at M1, but then I added an account at Public and Moomoo. So with those, I started off with those, individual companies like Amazon and Apple. Then I started to gain more knowledge and then I incorporated some ETFs. And I was really I shouldn't even say Amazon because that's part of what I was going to touch on. When I first got it started, I was investing into things that were more affordable, like the share price was not in the thousands. And when I first started investing into Amazon, it was several thousands before the split. Amazon, Google, Tesla was even over $1,000 a few years back before they had a split. And Bitcoin, of course, was tens of thousands of dollars. And so that's what led me to become open to incorporating uh, fractional shares and just go about building up my positions $10, $20 at a time. Bitcoin was definitely one of those things that I said, I want this in my portfolio. Obviously, I don't have that much money. So I'm going to have to go about building it up slowly. But thankfully, I did that with Bitcoin as well as those other companies that I just mentioned so that I wasn't waiting for the split. I wasn't waiting till it got to that point where I could buy a full share and, in one investment. So Bitcoin started adding that little by little over the last few years. I would say the things that I've held for years have been Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some Shiba Inu I never let go of. But other things like Doge and I traded those, even like Hut 8 and things like that. I've traded those over the years, but I wasn't holding on to them for as a long-term investment. Now, let me see. Um, can somebody just drop a comment in the chat just to let me know that everything is working okay? I see a couple of comments, but they're from earlier today. But just to let me know if anyone is watching, if they're able to hear me, see me, is the chat enabled and everything? Maybe I should take a second and listen for myself. Okay, Dr. Caroline, thank you. Hi. All right. So, yes. So now back to this Genius Act. Uh, so this has a lot of investors excited of the potential of it becoming even more mainstream and what it could mean for the gains that could come coming up as we finish out 2025. So A lot of people are betting big on Bitcoin as well as XRP. Another way that I'm getting exposure is through FBTC over at Fidelity. I'll get into that a little bit more. But this Genius Act, it was just signed on July 18th, and it creates that stable framework for uh, the stablecoins. So it requires issuers to hold full reserves like cash or bonds to back every coin. And this seems like I'm so glad that this is incorporated, because it seems crazy that that we could be over here investing into something, and if, say, for some reason all of us wanted to sell out of it, the company potentially could not have enough to pay us after we invested because they did not have enough assets, you know, holding in order to match what they were allowing us to invest into. So this is a big deal of requiring them to hold a reserve equal to what we're out here investing into them. So big issuers with over, uh, you know, $50 billion, I believe, must do annual audits for additional transparency, and the law enforces this. And so, this is something that is just these steps are just showing that we are striving to make crypto and these type of assets more mainstream, more seen as legitimate, and more, letting everyone have confidence in having this as a part of their investments. So, President Trump has called this a massive validation for crypto, predicting that this is going to start the golden age when it comes to these digital assets. And this could make stablecoins a mainstream payment tool that can challenge other type of payment methods that we're used to, like credit cards and wire payments. So there are some critics, but in time there are probably going to be other laws. One that I saw a little bit about was the Clarity Act that might be coming soon. So as these different acts, if they are passed, this will, as I said, continue to make these things more mainstream and legitimate, and especially with the ETFs, that'll allow people that are, primarily using those big brokerage companies that may not have access to some of these types of crypto. Um, and it will be a way that even, your retirement account, all different types of accounts can have exposure into investing into crypto. So stable coins, we're well, it may not be something you've ever heard of or thought about, because we're used to the, regular payment methods. We hear PayPal and things like that. But stable coins process, probably 20 times more than those mainstream things that we're using on a daily basis, a regular, us regular retail investors, I'll call us. But this law could drive adoption. And even though there is a lot going on there now that we might not be aware of, it can grow even more significantly. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the types of ways that I'm getting exposure. So, Bitcoin, let's talk about Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin hit a high of about, I think, 123,000 recently. And, that's a huge turnaround from where it was just in April, just like with the rest of our investments when we were hitting those April lows. And right now, it reaching that high, we saw that it was pretty much in line with this Genius Act, these ETF inflows, and just Trump's attitude and pro crypto policies has been really helping it to thrive. So, guys, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm just doing a little bit of talking about the Genius Act and some ways that I have crypto in my portfolio. I think this is the first time I've ever seen the crowns in my chat. But my Nightbot is out there chatting and getting the number 1 crown right now. But let me get back to what I was saying. So analysts and price targets, that is what it is. They are using their judgment, they're using their predictions, but, things happen. But crypto was always something that I wanted it to be in my portfolio from years back. But some analysts are predicting $200,000, $250,000 within a year's time. So these US spot Bitcoin ETFs are seeing huge inflows, especially right now in the month of July with everything that's going on. And FBTC, which is the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund, um, has seen $363 million in inflows. Um, so people are glad to be able to, like I said, have exposure to being able to invest into crypto. We're on different platforms. And as there are more ETFs approved for XRP and things like that, it's going to really enable, along with these policies and acts that are approved, like we're talking about here with this Genius Act and potentially other acts like the Clarity Act. Crypto is going to become so much more mainstream. And I incorporated FBTC into a portfolio that I had over at Fidelity because I couldn't invest directly into Bitcoin over there, and I felt that I wanted additional exposure. My average, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm up probably. I don't have it pulled up, but I'm up probably 50 or 60%, where I could have been up more significantly. But as I've joked about in the past, I'm not about hanging on to my average. I had to mess up my average when it came to Bitcoin because it was in November after the election, November, December, that I decided I want to continue investing more heavily at that time before we got to the actual election. I'm saying the election. So the election is in November. He takes office in January. I'm trying to think of that day, the word, but I wanted to make sure that I got additional funds invested before we got to that date. And I did that, as well as going over to Fidelity and working on getting money invested into FBTC for the first time, which is also significantly up in my portfolio. And it's only been since the beginning of this year. So Rod is sharing that he prefers FBTC over IBITs any day. Okay. All right. Oh, Vincent, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate you tuning in and sponsoring the show.
Thank you so much. We do greatly appreciate it.
And back to what we were talking about here. So, yes, XRP. So I said already that Bitcoin hit about 123,000. XRP was about $3.66, I believe. And their market cap is above 200 billion right now. And it's being fueled all by this Genius Act, the ETF excitement. And when it comes to crypto, I tell you, as I got an understanding of XRP, it seems like it's the most easy, clear crypto that I understand the use case for. So I was definitely drawn to it for that reason and others. And XRP, I was more recently, I'd say it was late 2024 before I started investing into it. So I'm not one of those who's been in it since 60 cents and all those different stages. But yeah, on that one too, I'm significantly up because I was setting my limit orders and working on building it up over the last few months, especially on those dips. Now, Ripple Labs, they're the ones that are behind XRP, and they also have another stable coin. It's called RLUSD. It was founded just in 2024, December 2024. And just like everything else that we're talking about, it's going to benefit from this Genius Act, these rules that are coming, being implemented, and hopefully are really going to be supported. And like we were talking about with the audits and all of that, I hope that all these things are really backed and put into place in order to boost XRP and all of these other cryptos. Now, this coin that I'm mentioning, the RLUSD, it is way down on the list. It's the 130th crypto. By market cap, it has a market cap of 527 million. While, let's see, what Bitcoin is above $2 trillion and XRP is 209 billion. So a much smaller one, but I just wanted to touch on it because it's also from Ripple. So XRP, when it comes to that one, what did I talk about? Oh, yes, I did touch on the analysts and what they believe, predictions as far as Bitcoin. But when it comes to XRP, they're saying it could hit $5 before we end 2025, especially if those ETFs are approved. There's continued transparency and regulation clarity from this Genius Act, and possibly, everything that's been going on with this SEC and Ripple case being resolved. These are things that will just help to fuel the growth of XRP. So let's see. Let me take a look. All right, so I'm just going to take a break now. But yeah, I thought that was a big topic of the week with this act being signed and approved, and how it could really support the stable coins as well as crypto as a whole, just impact it. And yeah, I'm waiting for those ETFs to get approved. Maybe I will incorporate more of that. If there is one approved over at Fidelity, I can continue in that same account that I put the FBTC. I can explore adding additional other ETFs that support crypto. So I think that this Genius Act is building confidence. And guys, let me know what you guys think in the chat. So those I would have just stuck. I was fine with my direct exposure into Bitcoin, but like I mentioned, I wanted it in this particular business account, and that's the way I had to go with Fidelity with the FBTC. But so far, so good. I have no problem with it. I'm glad that I was open and found that way, because it has thrived in that portfolio in just a few months. And, when it comes to my portfolio, I can't tell you the exact percentage. I didn't figure it out down to the T, but I definitely have a much higher percentage of my portfolio into my ETFs, but I'm okay with having, say, 5 to 10% into crypto. I like having that exposure. It's nothing that has ever stressed me out. I've held on to my Bitcoin. I've seen it go from say 50, 60,000 to below 20, and then, back to where it is now. And it's been now in these recent few months, since November or December, that I've built into it even more. And if I have to go through those swings, which basically I just did again with that pullback that we had in April, I'm okay with that. I don't have a stop loss on my Bitcoin, but it's not that significant of an amount of money that I feel that, I'm not about, I never use the phrase of invest what I'm willing to lose. But when it comes to certain assets that you may find more speculative, I'm willing to ride the wave because I believe in the potential, and I believe that they are things that are going to recover. So I'm okay with it. And I most of my investments, I do have a Coinbase account. I think I have a crypto.com account because I like to be prepared and just know that I have that the flexibility if there is a coin that comes out that is not on my Webull Pay. That's where I really that's where I hold my XRP and my Bitcoin, for example. But I really haven't had the need right now to use my Coinbase account because the things that I am most interested in are available to me on the Webull Pay account. So, okay, I think I covered all of my points. I'm going to take a second and take a look at the chat. But this Genius Act being approved is really a historical step, making stablecoins safer and boosting crypto as a whole. And I'm glad that I am a crypto investor, even if it's not that significant. I had to do what I was comfortable with and what was right for me. So you can, as I mentioned, if you're not already, if you don't already have these type of accounts set up, you have avenues, and there probably will be more coming soon to invest into crypto in those big brokerage houses like Fidelity. That's the one I happen to use. But you can also do it on, your regular platforms. I happen to do all of mine on the Webull Pay. So, guys, if you're not already, make sure to subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. I try to go live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I put out videos throughout the week, and you can check out my referral links. They're always in my description of my videos. And thank you for tapping those reactions. That's for the people that are shy out there. I have that in my Nightbot. If you don't want to be known, that is a way of supporting too. All right, so let me take a look back at the chat. Loving XRP. I was lucky. You purchased at 27 cents. Okay, Rod. And it was locked up on one of your in your cold storage and you couldn't touch it. I think you told me that story. Hi, Marcus. Thank you for tuning in. Miss V, thank you for tuning in. Pipeline, of course, Bitcoin to the moon. That's Pipeline's favorite thing, Bitcoin. Okay, so RLUSD is hard to find. Okay. But yeah, like I said, well, it's already July, but yeah, it's just been out since uh December of 2024. And that's what I mean by, like, when the first time when that Trump coin came out, if if something comes out, it might not be on one of the more mainstream platforms, but in time it gets there. Webull Pay, every once in a while I get a message and say, like, we just added 7 more new coins. So if I wanted to have exposure to them sooner, then I would have had to go over to my crypto.com or Coinbase app to be there, to be able to invest in there more quickly. I was lazy. So so yeah, guys, Rod told a story once, I believe, that he wanted to get his XRP off of the ledger, but he's saying here that he was too lazy to touch it. And so it stayed there and he held on to it, and yeah, it thrived while he was unable to touch it. And if he was able to touch it, he probably would have sold low. Instead, he held on and made some money. Thank you for tuning in, Sledge. Okay. Yes, Nora, I missed your live earlier. I can't believe that I've been a YouTuber for 2.5 years, and I've never really had a definite collab with the Stock Explorer. We have to get that going. The ledger is a pain. I've helped someone else with their ledger. I do not have my crypto on a ledger. But yeah, the process that I saw as I was sitting with this person, it was a lot. I'm still seeing stories in the news sometimes about that person that wants to, like, buy this whole landfill that he believes his ledger was lost in. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm taking a look back because I know I was just chatting. Um, Again, thank you to Vincent for that super chat. Appreciate you. Nija, hi Nija. Salute. Okay, let's see. Okay, nice. Nija's out there by the lake enjoying her summer. Okay, so I'm gonna just jump down to the bottom. So let me know if you have any questions, comments. Um, like I said, I'm not a huge crypto investor, but glad to have the exposure that I have built so far. Um, Ethereum, you know, uh, years ago when I added it, I thought that that was going to be something that was more on a fast track. But like I said, I haven't gone too heavily on any of them that it's going to cause me any issue. And whether it's crypto or just my portfolio as a whole, the good outweighs the bad so much. So I'm comfortable with what I've built. Now, when it comes to those individual stocks, do I wish that I invested into Netflix instead of Disney? Yes. Um, Maybe Costco instead of Target? Yes. So some things, everything is not perfect, but I like to share the good and the bad. And um, trust me, the good outweighs the bad so much more. So I'm not worried about those mistakes. And in time, well, I'm not even gonna call it a mistake. I'm not worried about those choices that I made because I know I'm watching them and I have a plan on how to rebalance and move forward. You know nothing about Bitcoin. Where would you suggest I start? Well, if you are interested in it, I would start small. Like I said, think about your overall total portfolio, and you have to think about your risk tolerance, if it's even something that you need to do. I pretty much do everything. Like I tell people, yeah, I do crypto, I do options trading. Um, I'm not just here just doing ETFs all the time. I do individual stocks. I'm even open to doing penny stocks if it's just a matter of knowing how to navigate it and making sure that you have your clear picture of you have a clear plan of, is this an investment or is this a trade? So just think it through. Is this something that you feel ready for? I would start small, maybe just 5% or even less of your portfolio, and be willing to hold long term because yeah, there's cycles when it comes to crypto. Something else that I've learned a lot about over the last few years, crypto winter and all these different things. And that's what I mean when, I don't know if you were here when I was touching on, I've held on to Bitcoin and seen my Bitcoin investment go from, the $50,000 to below 20 to, watching it go up to 100 just a few months ago and now 130. So no, I do not invest in gold or silver, and I haven't traded or invested in any gold or silver. I know that uh, on the Discord, Stock Pharrell, he trades it, and I believe might invest into it also. But just something I I I have interest, and I know that certain things have really thrived, but I've been once I keep my portfolio tight, let me just say it that way, and I take time to build into what I've chosen to incorporate, and then sometimes I feel like I'm not quick to add different things to my portfolio, but gold is something that has crossed my mind. I just haven't gotten around to it. I didn't get around to it. Lisa, you made look at FXAIX again after I saw your response this morning. Thanks for the 1,000th time. You may look at FXAAX again after I saw. Oh, I made you look at FXAAX again? I don't know what I was making a comment about. Ethereum is on a roll lately? Let's see. Okay, I'm just taking a look back at the chat to see if there is any questions. So guys, let me know if you have any other questions or comments on anything related to crypto that I might be able to answer. Are you excited about what's going on? Are you like me and put some more focus into building up your positions a bit after the election and seeing how things were seeming to have a significant shift? Yeah, as far as gold and silver, yeah, I know the tickers when I see them, but I don't even, like, know them off of the top of my head like that. Your favorite investment on Patreon poll. Yes, yes, I did. I don't even know. I remember when, we were in a live together and you asked me that question. No, yes, I think I was on your show one day and you asked me that question. And I think I told you Apple and VTI, and now I'm in your Patreon saying something totally different. But yeah, S&P 500, total US stock market, um, are definitely some of my favorite investments. Easy, beginner friendly, steady dividends. I'm about to put out my update on uh, FBTC for the end of Q2. I'll probably have that out tonight. So have that notification bell on. Please support my regular long form. Not well, I try to keep it to around 8 to 10 minutes, but my regular content also. CKJ, thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. I look forward to seeing you in the chat. Please make sure to leave me any questions on my videos. And I see that you are chatting today, so I assume that in the future you will continue. Lucy, thank you for tuning in. So, yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to touch on today. Just take a few minutes to talk about this Genius Act and to let you know that, yeah, sometimes I get the question of, do I invest into crypto? Am I still holding my XRP? And yes, I sure am. Let me see if I can jump on the app just to give you. Okay, so my XRP, I'm up 54.41%. And Bitcoin, like I said, I had to mess up my average a bit there because I had to start adding it in. I added to my position. So Bitcoin, I'm up 63.14%. Now, Rod said Ethereum is doing well. Well, Ethereum is up 3.1% today. Now, Ethereum, I have a smaller position in Ethereum than Bitcoin or XRP, but I'm actually up 27.72% on my Ethereum. And I've been in the red on that one for a while, so I did not realize I was up that much. And then before I get off, let's take a look. Like I said, let's see. My FBTC, which I just got started with at the beginning of the year. Thank you, Rod. Please give the live a thumbs up. And let's see. And I invested pretty quickly into it because I wanted to just get it started. I'm up 25.78% on FBTC, and that's just in a few months. And after, we had a significant pullback just a few months back. So Rod is sharing that I have physical gold and silver, also gold and IAU ETFs. Okay. It's slow but solid during market downturns. Yes. So it gives diversification. Okay. All right, so that's it. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all your support, and I will be back next Sunday. And I'm always available. I'm always posting on IG. I'm in Keenan Grace's Discord on a daily basis, so you can join. I have affiliate links for that. And like I said, I put out videos and shorts throughout the week. So have your eyes, have your eyes open and have that notification bell on so that you can hopefully catch some of my other content throughout the week. And thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week. See you next week live, but I'll see you throughout the week. I'll probably be putting out a video tonight. Stock it up.